Okay, so I'm here on time today, and I'm very glad I am because I have a very special guest joining us, Michele Lando.
So happy to be here.
And who better an entrepreneur to be on the GoGirl Entrepreneur Show than someone who advises entrepreneurs, CEOs, and leaders of Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies. So thank you so much for being here and for making the time in your busy schedule.
It's joyful. Nowhere I'd rather be. Talking to you.
Well, so let's get right into it. Tell me a little bit more about who you are and what you do professionally.
Sure. So Michele Lando, as you know, president of Skillset Communications since 1994. And what I do is I help CEOs, executives in corporations, and entrepreneurs, sometimes the individuals, executives in those corporations, to identify their purpose, their passion, and align it to how they create a profit.
Okay. Now, is that speaking about their individual purpose?
Yes.
And helping line that up with their company mission?
Yeah, I love that you asked the question. It's such a good question. We didn't rehearse that, and it's a great question. So we do both, actually. So in years gone by, we've worked with companies' purposes. Why are you here? What's the mission, value, vision, goal? Some years ago, when I started doing this work, you really couldn't talk too much about individual purposes at the time. It wasn't really a conversation topic that would be received very easily.
Okay.
Today, that's changed quite a bit. And so what people are starting to realize is that, and I think a lot because of social media, there's a need for authenticity. There's whistleblowing, there's no escaping, there's out in public view on all kinds of different social media. So who wants to be in the organization? How do they align to the organization? So it is marrying the two. Are you in the right best fit situation?
Okay.
Are you in the right best fit environment? Does that make sense?
Right, it does, because I can understand if someone is all about the money and making the business profitable and the bottom line, but they're not truly authentic with their why behind why they're doing the business, how they're maybe impacting others in a positive way, and they don't understand why they get up each morning other than trying to make money, it's going to come across empty.
It comes across empty, and oftentimes what happens is when I'm executive coaching somebody who's 40, 50, 60 in those environments, oftentimes the conversation is, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've helped, our company grow. I've, whatever the resume says.
Right.
But I don't really know how I got here or why I'm doing this and what's my next step. What do I really want to do? And what they're really yearning for, which we all do at some point in our lives, hopefully sooner than later, is to figure out what their purpose is. What really gives them real joy and meaning and depth of what they're doing. And we often go into some very serious conversations, and then I help them sort of migrate back to. It doesn't mean that you have to step away from where you are. It just means you have to sort of reinvestigate how you bring you back into where you are.
Okay.
Right?
Got it. Now, what would you say to, let's say, a young woman out there or a woman of any age who has something that she's passionate about in life? Maybe she has a skill, something that she might call just her hobby, ideas that she has always thought about putting into action, but what would be some initial advice and some actual steps for her to put something into place to create a business?
Again, a good question. In that, what I heard you say is, what would you do if you have some ideas or you have some passions? And I think oftentimes people don't take the time to go inside to figure out what is the best place for me? What is my purpose? How do I align that to what I'm doing? And those are great clues and cues that you just mentioned. So when you identify what your passions are, those are not coincidental. You may like fast cars. I may like off-road vehicles. You may like dressing up and partying. I may like reading a good book curled up in front of a fireplace. Our lifestyles, our choices, the things that we're drawn to and the things that we're not drawn to are clues and cues as to what our purpose is and what we need to be drawn to doing, and not try to deviate from that.
Okay.
I was talking to a friend not so long ago about this very concept, which is this. Oftentimes when we are embedded, I'm going to say, with certain talents and passions, we just assume that that's true for everybody. Or we assume that it doesn't have any real value, because what does it really mean anyway if I like singing in the shower? What does that mean? Well, there's time to explore what that really does mean, to figure out what does that mean for you and who you are and how you view the world differently than I might view it, differently than someone else does. Those are clues and cues to pay attention to, and marry those with your ideas.
And I would think that it's important for someone to really look inside, inward, evaluate, rather than always listen to what the outside world is telling them, to what their family, maybe their spouse or teachers or everyone else saying, you should do this, you should do that. Maybe you should consider what people see in you, but then really dig deep and go, well, what do I think? What do I like? What do I believe? And I know for me, people made fun of me when I started making YouTube videos, but I knew the marketing, doing funny videos, I love making people laugh. Right. Jen, you can't drive a Barbie Jeep. And I thought, you know what, who else is driving a Barbie Jeep? I'm going to drive a Barbie Jeep if I want to. Yeah. And I'm going to parlay that into something that I can bring people into my business. It can be my brand. I'm unique. And here we are sitting here today, and I've never let go of my courage to be authentic. Yes. Even when people told me I was silly or just, what's this YouTube thing? It's going to go away, or people won't take you seriously, or you have to probably tune some of that out and really listen to yourself. Now, I know that you talk about inspiration and transformation, and you think transformation is very important for people to talk about and to learn. Some people say, oh, rah, 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 and you can do it and be motivated, but now they're not giving skills. And I know you're putting together several things to help not only corporate leaders, but anyone out there to transform their life so that they can become successful in something that they're passionate about. So why don't you tell us about that? Your book that you've just launched, your upcoming webinars, and any other things that people can know about.
Sure, absolutely. So we've actually put together an entire program taking what executives in high-powered, high positions are doing and how they're going about it, and bringing it down to everyday level. Like, what do? I'm just starting, I have an idea, I want to start a new business. How do I think about that? What do I do? So some years ago, a lot of years ago, like about 20 years ago, I developed a program called IndiBrand, or individual branding. We didn't even know personal branding at the time. We didn't know that terminology. Okay. But it really was about, how do I develop this brand? And most of the time, what people do is they start with what we call step 4. Step 4 is building brand buzz. So how do we get the word out there? How do we show up? YouTube videos, the Barbie doll, all of that, which is fantastic, but it isn't the place to start. Okay. There's 3 steps before that. So the program really is about identifying who you are, what is your purpose for being. Okay. Do you mind if I take some notes here? No, okay. I love that you take some notes.
Sorry, this sounds like something
I
that
love that.
I
Great.
need to.
Big notes, big important notes.
No, I make tiny notes with this big pencil.
Do you? Okay.
But
good.
I can read them.
Okay, as long as you can. That sounds perfect.
I just don't want to miss this.
Okay, sounds good. So it's about introspection first and foremost. Who am I? What do I stand for? What are my values? What are my belief systems, right? What is all of that? That's the authenticity factor. What is that? Okay. Second step is, how do I differentiate myself? As you said, Barbie doll driving a car. Great, that's going to be differentiating to be sure, right? The third step is about our unique message. How do we message ourselves in a way that is compelling, not to us, but to our audience set? Okay. So if your audience is women and entrepreneurs and business-minded folks, then how do you message this in such a way that it matters to them, as opposed to male CEOs of Fortune 50 companies? That may not be the market. How do you adjust the messaging to meet the needs that they have, not that we have? Okay. So what is it, first of all? What differentiates it? And then how are you going to message that? And then comes creating the noise. YouTube and Barbie doll cars and brand buzz and all that good attention. And then the 5th step, which sounds terribly boring, is maintenance. And maintenance just sounds like, really? It's like a ladder and a hammer and a thing and a gym, and it just doesn't sound good. But the fact of the matter is, that's the secret sauce. Okay. Because maintenance is about the choices that you make every single day that keep you on track with your purpose. It's also about the choices that you don't make, so you aren't distracted away from what it is that you're trying to focus on, because there's lots of shiny objects out there, right?
Oh, yes. So how do you recommend people stay focused?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked this question, because in truth, it would be such an easy thing if I were to say to you, oh, they just need to be consistent with their choices. Great, thanks so much. That was really helpful. So some years back, I had a sales career, and people were asking me, how are you having this amazing success? You're not even 28 years old. You're in the top 2% of female earners in the country. How are you doing that? What are you doing? And the answer was, as I looked around the office, I'm making different choices than they're making. But I knew that wasn't really the question. The question looked like, what are you doing? But the real question was, can I do what you're doing? So I thought, if I just answer with choice, it's going to be great. That doesn't help me at all. So I created an acronym, because what's life without another acronym, for the word choice. And so the answer to your question is, what do we do to stay on track? It's about being consistent. It's consistently honing our intentions concerning excellence.
Okay.
So consistency. If you don't stay focused, you can't build momentum. Think of anything in your life that you don't maintain consistency around. Most women will have related to some kind of weight loss program that they might have been interested in, or trying to stay dedicated to something. You can't have the drink today and then go on the diet again tomorrow. You can't have the ding dong. Do they still make ding dongs? You can't have that and then go back to it.
Right.
You can't build the momentum. You can't create the consistency. The same is true with the business aspect of things. You know, you need to stay focused on what the business is. A lot of challenge that I see with entrepreneurs is because we are idea people. We have another idea and another idea and another idea. You really need to tame the ideas and make a decision and stay focused and committed to what that is.
And choose which ideas you can realistically
Execute.
create,
Yes.
execute.
Absolutely.
You can't do everything. You
can't
can't
do
be a
everything,
jack of all trades and a master of
of none.
none. I mean, it's better to focus on what you truly can do best, what you can
Absolutely.
deliver. And that doesn't mean that new projects won't come along, but you have to just be
Right.
very careful with your choices.
Right. It's no different than a product rollout. You know, it would make no sense at all if all of a sudden, you know, Apple started offering shoes. You know, it's like, what do they know about shoes? What is that? You know, I have to always mention the shoes. We're
By the
always
way,
into
I
shoes.
love your
I know, we're always
shoes. We
into
need
the
to
shoes.
show your shoes to the gals
Women in
out there.
shoes, we all love the shoes.
I love the
the
polka
shoes.
dots
Me too.
and the bows.
What can I say? What
love,
can I
love,
say?
love.
It would be like that. Like, it just doesn't even make sense. Like, you know, yes, it's great, but that's not going to work for us.
Right.
And then it's about honing. And what honing has to do with is, again, from the inside out, which is what I am all about. It's all from the inside out. It's refining, it's reflecting, it's continuing to evolve it and grow it, whatever your idea may be. Like, how can you reach different groups? Or what's the methodology for reaching different groups? Some of it's YouTube, some of it's live events. There's different ways to reach people. Constantly growing, learning, enhancing.
And probably being okay with thinking, okay, I've made some headway over here on this project, but is it it's and honing that one back and being okay to let that go, even if you've already invested a little time and resources, because just because you already have, you know, you're going down that road doesn't mean it's the right road. So probably being okay with saying, okay, that wasn't the best choice. I'm reining that back in.
Absolutely. That's part of it. In fact, I would just say let go to grow. Sometimes you need to let go to grow.
They say take one step back and two steps forward at times.
You hold too tight. You can't move forward. It's like, let go already. Let go. It's right there for you. Just move into it.
I love everything. I want to just absorb everything you're saying, and I'm sure everyone listening feels the same. So what can they, how can they take your upcoming courses?
Got it. So we're just releasing the book. The whole program is coming out, and we're very excited about it because it talks to all three pieces, if you will. There's the purpose portion of it. It's the journey within. There's the 5 steps of how do you actually create this brand that is so authentic. It's not something you're manufacturing outside of yourself. It's eliciting or illuminating the authenticity from within yourself. You don't have to be something that you're not. Quite the opposite. Really be who you are and use that to then move into the business that you want to move it into. There's lots of choices that can be made there, and then make the right choices once you're in there. Okay, so
what
we
is
have
your
this
book called?
The book, well, I just happen to have
You
my
happen
first
to bring it. Oh my goodness, it's right here.
So this literally is the first printed copy. Literally. It's actually the proof, yes. So I'm so excited about it. This was 20 years and 3 months in the making.
Congratulations.
I wrote the book in 3 months with 20 years of experience and background.
Wow.
I was on a mission. But the idea here is create demand for your brand from the inside out, and it's aligning your purpose, passion, and profit.
Okay.
Within the book, the reason we're so excited about it is we are giving away tools, oodles and oodles of tools. We have probably 8 or 10 different tools that we use in the live workshops. They're $3,000. They're in here for free.
Wow.
You can just go in and get them and access them.
Can I have this even though it's your only copy?
Yes, I'll give it to you. Yes, but I have to sign it first.
Yes, please.
Yes, I will. I'll do a signing for you. So yes, of course you can. And once you get in there and you start reading this and you get the tools, if you want to take it to steps further, if you want some support around it, We will have open webinars, and then we go
Okay.
even farther, and we'll have live events like we do, generally speaking, for others, and create a community around that so that you can actually work it through with guidance. Because nothing that we do is generic. Human beings are not generic. Human beings are individual, unique beings. And so I'm happy to give them the tools to discover on their own. I love that. I encourage that. And if they want support uniquely and individually to really culminate to the best of their potential, their highest, best version of self, which, by the way, is excellence in the choice model, we're there for them. And so the booklet's kind of all there.
I'll make sure to promote your book on all of my GoGirl platforms and our GoGirl bookstore, and then hopefully we can work out a deal where I could showcase your webinar series on GoGirl University.
Oh, I love that.
Because
I'd love
it's
to
all
help
about
them.
bringing these different tools of transformation, education to women out there all over. So hopefully you'll be up for something like that, and then I'm sure they can find it in other places online, your website, and
it's on the website, skillset.com.
Skillset.com. Okay.
It's on Amazon. It's you can order it from Barnes and Noble. You can get it, from Amazon online, however you want to get it.
Get the
Just
book,
get it. Just
and then get ready for ongoing awesome transformation.
Yeah.
But the book, it sounds like an initial awesome way to get going with it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You go, girl. That's what it is.
Yeah, I love it. I can't wait to read it.
It's yours. I will sign it.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Now, tell me something about you on a personal level. Tell me maybe a fun fact about you that most people might not know.
Oh my goodness, lots of fun facts.
Okay.
Well, what can I tell you? I married the love of my life, who I actually worked for initially, was my initial mentor. Had no idea that this was going to happen. Another day, another time, I'll tell you the girl story of just meeting the guy, the jaw drops open, oh my gosh, and realizing there's something way beyond what you understand. We're still in love 31 years later.
Wow.
It's a fabulous, fabulous relationship.
What's his name?
Manny.
Manny. Okay.
He's beyond fabulous. Beyond
So
fabulous.
happy for both of you.
Yeah, so are we. We're delighted. By the way, I will tell you this little tidbit, kind of a fun fact.
Okay.
One of the tools that we use in the book is called motivators. So it's identifying what is it that really drives us. We're driven differently, not the Barbie car. I mean, driven by motivators. What really gives us passion and juice in our lives, right? So one of those tools, after about a year of using it from a business perspective, if you will, right? It occurred to me, I should see what my husband's drivers are. Well, it turned out that our drivers, there's 6 of them, they're exactly identical except the 3rd and the 6th. And the only time that we ever have issues, that we bump into something, is around this 3rd or the 6th. I mean, you can see it. It's just right there for you. So I've decided that this is not only good from a business perspective, but for dating. So for all you girls out there who are looking for love as well as business, I'm just saying there's something in here we could discuss
for
further
those
in the
common
university.
drivers. I love that.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. What else can I tell you that's kind of fun? I have a fear of heights. I've piloted a helicopter. The crazy pilot instructor took the doors off because he was hot. He banks the helicopter. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I'm trying to overcome fear of heights, right? I've jumped out of planes with my son, trying to deal with the height.
So you push beyond the fear.
Always.
You say, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? And then you do that.
I just, what would I do if I wasn't afraid?
You are a
and
go-girl.
you mentioned before the courage that it takes to be authentic. It does take courage. It's one of the greatest attributes of any entrepreneur is courage. Courage and curiosity and commitment. You have to be curious about self and about the world. You have to have the courage to investigate it. And you have to be committed because you're going to get thrown off the saddle so many times. And you got to get back up.
You work with all sorts of corporate leaders. And what would you say is a common denominator, some common qualities that tend to lead to the most successful people that you work with?
It's a good question. I would say the most successful leaders recognize that their job is to develop the people. It's often not even about the product. It's the people within. If you take out all of the people in the organization, you have a lot of desks and some light bills.
Those all sound like excellent qualities. Would you say there are certain common denominators, common qualities that you see with the most successful, the happiest of the leaders that you work with?
That's an interesting question because you threw in happiest. So I would say those that are most joyful, inner joy, really satisfaction, fulfillment, as well as accomplishment, clearly. I
Right.
do work with some very powerful, successful leaders. I think beyond question, the common denominator is developing their people. They realize that at the end of the day, if you take out the people in the organization, you have desks and you have light bills. That's what's left. When you put the people into the organization and you develop them to be their best version of themselves, not only is it satisfying for you as an individual to contribute to another human being in that way, but what happens is the loyalty factor, the joy that you're bringing into their lives, that gets to perpetuate. That builds a momentum, and it becomes a culture, not just a company. It becomes a way of living, not just a job. It becomes a place that you get up in the morning and you can't wait to go to. And the other thing I would like to say about it is this. I think this is a huge thought. If any leaders out there are listening, it's not just about leading, because leading, to be a leader is a title. You can be the president of the organization, and by default, people are meant to do what you're instructing them to do, right? Creating followership is something completely different, and I call that leadership. Leadership is about behaviors. Being a leader is about a title. Those that are most successful understand there are behaviors, there are interactions, there are ways of thinking and developing others that create followership. And of course, when you're making a difference in the lives of others, what could bring you more joy? I don't care what stage in life you're in.
Individuals truly feel that, and I know I've worked for certain leaders in the past who I really wanted to follow them because they believed in me.
Yes.
They lifted me up. It wasn't all about them.
Yes.
I knew what their mission and purpose was, and they made sure I was in line with that and I was gaining from that, and it's everything there. So
what can be better, right? For you or the leader, right?
what a wonderful, fulfilling role you play, and you must be so happy when you see these people succeed and spread their wings even more, and all of the people with their organizations, and the fact that you now want to bring your skill set to anyone out there and make it accessible for everybody.
Absolutely.
I think that is such a GoGirl move, and so I want to invite you all, make sure you follow Michele. I'll be sharing all of her content and her book, and check out her website. And is there one last thing maybe you want to say straight to the GoGirls out there? Just give them one last little shout out.
Courage, curiosity, commitment. Go, girl.
On the count of 3, let's both go. You go, girl. Okay, 1, 2, 3. You go, girl. You go, girl. Good job.